Good morning, students. We were doing this story Quality by John Galsworthy, and we have to start from page 30. To get away from his reproachful eyes and voice, I hastily remarked. So reproachful means blaming, because the last thing which was uttered by Mr. Jessler was that people do not want good boots. It seems so. It seems that people are not interested in good boots now, right? So what happened? He thought that because the writer always had that guilt that he also belongs to the class of people who have stopped buying goods, because once he entered his shop wearing boots from which were manufactured by large firms, right? So he still had that pinch inside him, right? Or he was thinking himself also to be a culprit. So to get away from his reproachful eyes and voice, I hastily remarked. So just the next time the writer went, he wanted to just get away from his reproachful. Reproachful means critical, expressing criticism, right? And that eyes which were like constantly blaming him. So he wanted to save himself from those reproachful eyes, and so he quickly said, "What have you done to your shop?" So he immediately tried to change the topic, right? From what's happening as far as his work is concerned to the shop. So he asked, "What have you done to your shop?" He answered quietly, "It was too expensive. Do you want some boots?" So he said that it was very expensive maintaining two shops when it's slack time, when like we are not earning enough. So it became too expensive and it was a burden on us to maintain two shops. So then he asked that, "Do you need some boots?" I ordered 3 pairs, though I had only wanted 2. So again, the author, he did the same thing. He wanted 2, but because of that guilt, that feeling of guilt and pity, both the things, he ordered 1 extra pair and quickly left. I do not know quite what feeling of being part in his mind of the conspiracy against him. So why did he order more boots, more number of boots? Because he thought himself also to be the culprit, that he is also somewhere directly, indirectly responsible for their condition, or not perhaps so much against him as against his idea of, right? So maybe not against him, maybe I have not hashed any conspiracy against him, but at least I thought myself to be a culprit as far as his idea of boots was concerned. One does not, I suppose, care to feel like that. So the writer also knows that nobody cares to feel like this, but I was feeling this manner, for it was again many months before my next visit. Why many months? Who can tell me the reason why again it took many months before the author got an opportunity to visit their shop? Yes, Shari.
Some because their shoes were of good quality and they were very durable.
Yes, because the shoes were of good quality, so they lasted long. They were very durable. So again, the author was unable to visit their shop quite often. Paid, I remember, with the feeling, "Oh well, I can't leave the old boy." So then after a long time, because he ordered 1 extra pair, so it took a long time to visit their shop. But then he went, and with the feeling that I cannot leave this old boy, I cannot leave these Jessler brothers in this miserable, pitiable condition. So here goes. And with this kind of a feeling that I cannot leave them, he went to his shop. So here goes. Perhaps it will be his elder brother. And the moment he entered his shop, he thought he was kind of scared in facing this Mr. Jessler, right? The younger brother, he was like because something pinched inside him the moment he came in front of him. Maybe that was this guilt. So he didn't want to face him, but he didn't want to leave them also, right? He wanted to help them. He wanted to buy boots from them so that he is able to at least do something, contribute something. So perhaps it will be his elder brother. So he thought that maybe I don't get to meet him. Maybe there are chances that when I go to their shop, so I might meet him elder brother. For his elder brother, I knew. And why was he more comfortable meeting his elder brother? Because the writer knew had not character enough to reproach me even dumbly. Because he thought that he was not that kind of a person who can reproach me, who can criticize me, who can blame me, or have that kind of look in his eyes that I start feeling guilty. Right? Even dumbly means even in an indirect manner. Even in the slightest manner, he will not blame me or criticize me, right? Directly or indirectly. Then even in the dullest manner. And to my relief, in the shop, there did appear to be his elder brother. And with this kind of a feeling, he was going towards the shop, right? That I might meet his elder brother. It would be better if I meet his elder brother. So what happened? He saw his elder brother handling a piece of leather. There was one person standing whom the writer thought that he was his elder brother, handling a piece of leather. Well, Mr. Jessler, I said, how are you? So he said, the moment he entered, he greeted, he said, well, Mr. Jessler, how are you now? He came close and peered at. So the person who was standing, the person whom the author thought to be Mr. Jessler's elder brother, he came and gave a very close, careful look at him. I am pretty well. Pretty well means pretty well. He said slowly, but my elder brother is dead. So what can you make out from these lines? What does these lines tell? The elder brother was dead. It was Mr. Jessler only, the person with whom the author dealt all the time, right? But the author took him to be his elder brother. So what does this mean? What is the writer trying to tell in these lines? Yes, Neelanshu.
Ma'am, both the brothers resembled themselves, resembled each other.
Both of them resembled each other, and the elder brother was in a more miserable condition. You remember in the beginning, it has been mentioned that he was watery, paler, thinner in comparison to Mr. Jessler. So, and now this time when the author went to their shop after a very long period of time, he didn't recognize Mr. Jessler. It means that his condition became very similar to the elder Jessler brother. Means he was also much more weak, thin, and appearing to be older. That is why the author got confused. And I saw that it was indeed himself. And then after giving a close look, the author realized that no, he was not his elder brother, he was Mr. Jessler. And like Neelanshu said, that they resembled a lot. And how aged and when. And never before had I heard any mention of his brother. Much shocked, I murmured. Oh, I'm sorry. So the moment he said that my elder brother is dead, this was the first time that he mentioned about his elder brother. And what did he say? That my elder brother is dead. So hearing this, the author was shocked, right? Then after that, looking at his condition, looking at the condition of Mr. Jessler, pained him even more, right? Because he appeared to be very aged and pale and thin, sick kind of a look he had on his face. Yes, he answered. He was a good man. He made good moves, but he is dead. So Mr. Jessler started talking about his elder brother. And this was the first time that the author heard him talk about his elder brother. And he touched the top of his head. And while talking about his elder brother, he touched the top portion of his head. There the hair had suddenly gone, as thin as it had been on that of his brother. So his hair line was also receding and the hair had gone thin. So like his elder brother. So that is why the author had difficulty in recognizing him when he entered his shop. To indicate, I suppose, the cause of death. So the author thought that he was touching his head to indicate the cause of the death of his elder brother. He could not get over losing the other shop. So this was the reason why his elder brother died. That he couldn't get out of this sorrow of losing, the frustration of losing one shop. do you want any boots? And then he asked that, do you want any boots? And he held up the leather in his hand. It is a beautiful piece. It is a beautiful piece means it's a beautiful piece. So the leather which he was holding, he just lifted it up and showed it to the author, and he said that this is a beautiful piece of leather. Do you want any boots? Do you want me to make boots for you? I ordered several pairs, and again he felt pity, like always. So he ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. So though he took now, because his elder brother was also dead and he himself was sick, weak, pale. So obviously he will take much more time. Now another problem with Jessler brothers was that they didn't take help of anyone. They were so passionate about their art that they didn't want anyone else to be involved in this job of manufacturing boots. Only these two brothers, they managed everything. And that was also the reason why they were not able to deliver goods on time. They took a lot of time. See, what will a good businessman do? If I have many orders, what will I do? I will employ other people. But what their idea of boots was that they didn't want anyone to be involved in it because they considered themselves to be perfect in that art, and they felt that if they will take the help of any other person, then the quality might be compromised. The other person might not be so passionate. About this whole job of making boots. So that is why they did everything on their own, both these brothers. So obviously, the customer, it's very difficult to ask a customer to wait. We all know this. As customers, we know. We don't like waiting. So that is why they were losing customers. And then they didn't advertise also. So I ordered several pairs. So because the author again felt pity, was sad for Mr. Jessler, and so he ordered many pairs. It was very long before they came. He took a lot of time to make those boots, but they were better than ever. But again, the quality was still the same, even better than the last boots made by them, right? The quality was only going up. One simply could not wear them out. So it again, because they were very good in quality, fitting, everything, so you cannot wear them out, right? They will not be damaged so easily. And soon after, I went abroad, and then the author had to go out of London office. So it was over a year before I was again in London. Then he came back to London after a year. And the first shop I went to was my old friend. And the moment he returned to London, he went to the shop of his old friend. I had left a man of 60 and came back to one of 75. So this was the miserable condition of Mr. Jessler. When he left him, Mr. Jessler appeared to be a man of 60. But when he came back, he looked like a man of 75. So in just 1 year, he appeared so old, so sick, pinched and worn and tremulous. Pinched means more squeezed, thinner, worn, having that tired, exhausted look on his face, and tremulous. Tremulous means shaking. His hands and his body was shaking because of weakness, who genuinely this time did not at first know, right? And this time, Mr. Jessler failed to recognize the author at first. Means when he entered his shop, he didn't recognize the author first. Oh, Mr. Jessler, I said, sick at heart. Sick at heart means the author was pained to see the condition of Mr. Jessler. The miserable condition of Mr. Jessler pained his heart. How splendid your boots are. See, I've been wearing this pair nearly all the time. I've been abroad. So he wanted to make him feel a little better, and so he started talking about his boots. He started praising their boots. See, what does an artist need? Recognition for his work. So he started talking about his boots, and he says that, see your boots, I've been wearing them for the past 1 year when I was in a foreign country, and see, they are not even half worn out. They are still in a very good condition. He looked long at my boots, a pair of Russia leather, and his face seemed to regain strength. Then he looked for a long period of time on those at those boots, and then he recollected how he made those boots, and then his face regained steadiness. Then there was some kind of uniformity in his face. Putting his hand on his instep. Instep means, instep is the front portion of the boot, which is between the ball and the ankle, right? The place from where you enter your foot into the boot, that is the instep. He looked at the instep and then he said, do they bid you here? Bid you here means, do they fit you here? I had trouble with that pair, I remember. So he said, I faced a lot of trouble. He recollected everything about those pair of boots, and after looking at them for some time, and then he pointed the area near the instep and he said that, are they comfortable at this place? Do they fit you properly at this place? Because while making this portion of this pair of shoes, I faced a lot of trouble. I remember very clearly. I assured him that they had fitted good. So the writer says that, yes, they fit me properly at this. Do you want any boots? He said. I can make them quickly. It is slack time. Slack time means, what do you mean by slack time? Means when there is not much business, right? And you can say inactive, the period of inactivity is slack time. So he said, because I don't have much work at the present moment, so I can make boots for you very quickly. So do you need any boots? I answered, please, please, I want boots all around, every kind. Again, he felt pity on the condition of Mr. Jessler and he ordered several pairs this time, right? He said, yes, yes, please make, I want boots all around, every kind, just make every kind of boot for me. I will make a fresh model. Fresh model means fresh model. Your boot, your foot must be bigger. Foot means foot must be bigger. So maybe because there must be some changes in your foot, so I'll take the measurements. I'll take fresh measurements and make a fresh model for you. And with utter slowness because he was very weak. So he did everything very slowly now. He traced down my foot and felt my toes. You remember that ceremony which was followed in the beginning? The writer has made a mention of them. So in the same way, he tickled at several places while taking the measurement, after keeping the foot on the paper, and felt my toes. And then after that, he used to feel the toes. Only once looking up to say. While doing this, while performing this entire ceremony, only once did he look up and said, did I tell you my brother was dead? And what did he say? He said that, did I tell you in the past that my brother was dead? I watched him. To watch him was painful. So feeble had he grown. I was glad to get him. It was so heart-wrenching. It troubled the author. It pained the author so much to look at him, to look at his pitiable plight, that the author was very happy to run away from that. You know, this happens whenever something pains us or pinches us a lot. What we want to do is we just want to get out of that place, right? So the author was so sad on seeing his condition that he just wanted to give the measurements and order the boots and just get out of that place. I had given those boots up when one evening they came. So the author has given those boots up. The author has almost given up on his those boots, and then what happened? One morning, one evening they came. The author received. He has almost given up on those boots, that where he will be able to receive those boots. So, but but they came one evening. Opening the parcel, I set the 4 pairs out in a row. So he ordered 4 pair of boots, and then he opened the parcel and kept them in a row. Then one by one, I tried them all. There was no doubt about it. again, there was no doubt about the fitting, the quality, everything was the same. In shape and fit, in finish, quality of leather, they were the best he had ever made. So these were the best pair of boots made by Mr. Jesse. And in the mouth of one of the town walking boots, I found his bill. And in the mouth means the opening from where you insert your food. So in that opening, there was the bill. The amount was the same as usual, but it gave me quite a shock. And the amount was also the same. They didn't increase the price of their boots. The price was also the same. He had never, why? But the author was shocked. There was something about it which shocked the author, because he had never sent before. He had never before sent it till quarter day. The bill was never sent before by Mr. Jessler before a quarter day. See, what do you mean by quarter day? Do you know the meaning of quarter day?
Evening.
No, quarter day. See, what happened in England in those days, that there were 4 days. Those 4 days were like holidays. And these 4 days, they fell at regular intervals, kind of more or less regular intervals, right? After a period of 4 months. A year can be, what will be a quarter of a year? 4 months. So these festivals, they fell after 4 months. And what happened on those days? The rents were paid, the bills were paid, and people were hired, servants were hired. So it was a tradition which was followed, right? So these were the days which were decided for hiring servants, for paying rent, for paying the bills and all. So never before has Mr. Jessler sent the bill before the quarter day, right? The bill was kept pending and it was sent to the customer on the quarter days only. But this time the bill was there, kept inside one of the shoes. So this is something which shocked the author, that it was sent before the quarter day. Why did it shock the author? Because the author realized that there was some emergency, right? They were in dire need of money. That is why they sent these the bill immediately along with the boots and didn't wait for the quarter day. I flew downstairs and this shocked the author. And what did the author do? He came running downstairs the moment he received the bill and wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand, right? He immediately wrote a check, posted it with his own hands. Why? Because he understood that this person, Mr. Jessler, must be in extreme need of money. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fit. So after a week, he was passing that way and he thought of paying a visit to Mr. Jessler's shop. But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. But when he came to the place where his shop used to be, his name was gone. Earlier, one shop had gone, but now his name was entirely missing from that place. Still there in the window were the slim pumps, the patent leather with cloth tops and the sooty riding. The name disappeared. The name which was there in front of their shop, the Jessler brothers, that disappeared. But still those boots which they kept on the window, which had been kept there from eternity, like they were still kept there. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him about how splendidly this I've taken. Oh, sorry. I went in with very much disturbed. So when he didn't see the name of the author, sorry, the name of the shoemaker, the name of Mr. Jessler on outside the shop, he was very much disturbed. In the two little shops, again made into one, was a young man with an English face. And so because he was so troubled, he entered the shop. And when he entered the shop, he saw that those were again two shops. Means the person who bought the first shop, he bought the second one also. And an Englishman was sitting there. A person with an English face was sitting there. He was a young man. Mr. Jessler in, I said. So he asked that person who was sitting there, that is Mr. Jessler in? I want to meet him. He gave me a strange, ingratiating look. So what did he do? He gave him a strange kind of a look. Ingratiating look means as if the look on his face was as if asking for favor. Like this is the look which the shopkeepers have. That you come to my shop, buy shoes, right? So that gaining favor kind of a look was there on his face. No, sir, he said, no, but we can attend to anything with patience. He said, no, we don't have Mr. Jessler here, but we can attend to your needs, anything you need, please allow us to serve you and we can attend to your requirements and we'll be happy to do it. We have taken the shop over. You have seen our name, no doubt, next door. He said, we have taken the shop from Mr. Jessler. You must have seen our name mentioned outside the shop. We make for some very good people. Again, he started advertising his goods, that Englishman. He said that we make for very good people. We make for very famous people, royal people. You remember, this is the way they advertise. Yes, I said, but Mr. Jessler. But the author was not interested in the quality of goods being made by that Englishman, right? By this new shopkeeper. He said, yes, I know, but I just want to meet Mr. Jessler. Oh, he answered, dead. He said, oh, but Mr. Jessler is dead. Dead? But I only received these boots from him last Wednesday week. He said, dead? How is it possible? I just got these boots last week from him. Ah, he said, shocking. Oh. Said, oh, this man had a very shocking, said it's really shocking that he died. Poor old man starved himself. What was the reason of his death? That he starved himself. He didn't have money to feed himself. Now, you can imagine the passion which they had for their boots. In spite of not having enough money to feed himself, he never compromised with the quality. His boots, his shoemaking was like religion to him. You remember the last pair of boots which the author received? They were of the best quality. The finishing, the fitting, everything was better than what they did earlier. And still the price was also the same. They didn't increase the price. So this tells us about the dedication and their honesty. Good God, slow starvation, the doctor called. So the doctor said that the doctor gave the reason of the death of Mr. Jessler as starvation. You see, he went to work in such a way. This is the description. So then this Englishman tells that you must be knowing the way he worked, would keep the shop on, wouldn't have a soul to touch his boots except himself. He didn't take any help from anyone, right? Didn't allow any other person to help him or touch his boots except himself. He wanted to do everything on his own. When he got an order, it took him such a time. And because of this, what happened? His orders were delayed, right? He was not able to cater to the needs of the customers on time. People won't wait. He lost everybody. So everybody means all his customers. And there he said, going on and on. And there he points to a place and he said that there he used to sit going on and on, working on his shoes. I will say that for him. Not a man in London made better. So that Englishman, that new shopkeeper also said that I would say, no doubt about it, that nobody in entire London can make better boots than him. But look at the competition. He never advertised. So this was again another problem with Mr. Jessler. He never advertised. Though he was the best shoemaker of London. Nobody in entire London can make better boots than him. But still, advertisement is important, which he didn't do. Would have the best leather too. Then he never compromised on the quality. What do the other shoemakers do? They compromise on the quality and do it all. These were the reasons. The quality of his raw material, and then all by himself. He had to do all by himself. Well, there it is. So obviously, how can you expect this kind of man to survive? He went on losing his customers. He didn't have enough to feed himself. And then he was going on and on, torturing himself, working on those boots. What could you expect with his ideas? With these kind of ideas about boot making and shoemaking, what else can you expect but starvation? This is the only thing which can happen to such a person. That may be a bit flowery, as the saying is, but I know myself, he was sitting over his boots day and night. He says, if I'll say that he was sitting here and making his boots day and night, it would sound a little flowery, it would sound a little exaggerated. But I saw him with my own eyes doing this. I saw him with my own eyes sitting day and night, just working on his boots. To the very last, till the very last moment of his life, he was working on his boots. Though it might sound a bit flowery, it might sound a bit exaggerated, but actually that is the truth. That till the end of his life, till the last bit of his life, he was working on his shoes, day in and day out. You see, I used to watch him. Never gave himself time to eat. Never had a penny in the house. He didn't have money in the house. He didn't give himself time to eat also. All went in rent and leather. And so all the money which he earned from his boots, that was spent in paying the rent of the shop and buying leather, because he used the best quality leather also. How he lived so long, I don't know. So he should have died much earlier. How he survived till this time with his ideas, right? With his ideology, it's really strange. He regularly let his fire go out, right? Let his fire go out means he was irritated because he was hungry, because he was overtired, exhausted. So he used to be irritated quite easily. He was a character. So he said that he was a character in himself. He was not a normal human being. He was kind of a character, but he made good. But again, this is one fact which everyone recognized. He said, but still, though his attitude became strange, he became very irritable. He was a character, kind of a character in himself. But there is no denying the fact that he made good. Yes, I said he made good food. So the author repeated. He said, yes, he definitely made good boots. And I turned and went out quickly, for I did not want the youth to know that I could hardly. What's the meaning of this line? And the author, he simply said, he just uttered these words that yes, he made good boots, and he turned immediately and left the shop, because he didn't want the that young Englishman, the new shop owner, to see that he was crying. For I could hardly see means that there were tears. His eyes were welled up with tears, because when your eyes are welled up with tears, you find it difficult to see. Your vision becomes blurred. So he didn't want that Englishman to see that he was crying. There were tears in his eyes. So he just rushed out of the shop. He just turned and left the shop. With this, we come to the end of this chapter. Quality. Thank you.